words to describe what has unfolded. And we call it a natural disaster, right? That's how it's being, we call it a natural disaster. And yet, how is it that something like this could happen in this day and age, that in a sophisticated city like Los Angeles, that there would be this devastation and all of the associated causes and rumors about the empty reservoir and no water and mismanagement, et cetera, et cetera. The result is that there are thousands of people without homes and thousands of people who had to evacuate, from young children, pregnant mothers. I think about birthing moms and the elderly. I mean, it just spanned, and the rebuild is going to take a long time. And the grief, that people are feeling, and maybe not even aware that they're feeling, and the reactivation of trauma for anyone who's been through, like one of the women in our community here has been through and wrote a beautiful description of what to do if there is a fire, how you should be prepared for that. And then we have the incoming administration and the inauguration on Monday, same day as Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And we've got people that are so up in arms. I mean, it's kind of frightening to me, the level of divisiveness and the level of hate. And it strikes me as I sit a lot in the stillness and I contemplate about stopping the hate. Stop the hate. There's something called self-fulfilling prophecy. And what that means, to the best of my understanding, is that if you keep claiming something, you eventually, it becomes something where you're like, okay, that's it. And it's on an unconscious level. I am that, or I do that, or I'm going to do that. And I think of the projections that are happening with this incoming president, whether you like him or you don't like him. I think of the projections that are proliferating, the media, which is, it's like a show. It's like this, it's crazy to witness it. And I want to say to people, stop, just stop the hate, stop proliferating these rumors. There's something that I happened upon that really resonates for me, and it's toxic spirituality. So toxic spirituality is when people use spirituality against other people, or they have these limits like, oh, I love everybody but them. So as a minister, as a spiritual counselor and therapist that I've been for, over 25 years now, and on a spiritual path since I was a child, I'm aware of the various emotional, growth that I've been through, the hills and the valleys, the dark nights of the soul, that are really about this inner transformation that can literally bring you to your knees. And on Christmas Eve, I spoke at my spiritual center, Agape International Spiritual Center. And what came through me as I was preparing for this was something called Ring of Fire. And that is a state that a woman reaches in natural childbirth, where it is burning, you are burning, and you think you can't take this anymore. And then in that very moment of that burning sensation is when the baby is what's called crowning. Their head is at the bottom of the birth canal, and they are just about to emerge. It's when you're pushing. And you hold on, you stay with it, which is, we are in my perception and intuitively, we are in a ring of fire moment in time. Huge transformation. It feels like for people that have been through the fire, they have to start over. I mean, that's the choice. And it's a lot of surrender, but it's a lot of going through all of the emotional experience that some of them haven't even. I mean, how can you? How can you plan to go through this? How can you understand the level of the stages that you're going to go through? And if you've had trauma, witnessing this trauma may reactivate you. You may bring up feelings of trauma. And then, as a spiritual holder, placeholder, we get to hold this. We get to hold everybody. We get to hold all of it because we're witnessing. If you've been directly affected by it, you're walking through this. And then there's those of us that hold the space for you to move through this ring of fire moment, this transformation. Ironically, several months ago, as I was receiving information from Spirit, I told my husband that something was going to be happening and that people needed to be packed and ready to go in an instant. And this was back in, I want to say, November. And I just stored it away because I really wasn't sure what it was referring to. I wasn't given that information about what the actual details around that were, but I was given that direction. Be ready to go, pack up. And then we had the fires, and people literally had to pack up within seconds. Maybe they had an hour, a couple hours. And then there were those people that were in areas where they were in this kind of, this hypervigilant state of holding, and your nervous system. I'm pointing back here because I'm pointing to the hindbrain or the reptilian brain, and the midbrain where the amygdala is. The alarm goes off, and you're just in high alert. The cortisol, you're just ready to go. And it's frightening. And then after the event is picking up the pieces. So my invitation to you and the message this morning is to be gentle with yourself and to recognize that you're going through an experience that may bring you to your knees, where I've been many times in my life. And then you're going to move through different emotional states until you are at a place where you are able to take action, to allow yourself to let down, allow yourself to feel the feelings. If you're a parent, and when you're a parent, depending on the age and the stage of your child, I mean, you can have adult children, but if you're the parent of a child under 18 and they're in your home, having something like this, your nervous system is on high alert because you're leading your children. You have to be a couple of steps ahead. So again, be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others. We're living in really interesting times. And I started this message with stop the hate and toxic spirituality, which I'm going to be talking a lot about because it's really important. If you live in a place of blame, if you live emotionally, spiritually, vibrationally in a place of blame, you're not able to process the feelings that are associated with an event that is so devastating and catastrophic as just happened. And if you are continually projecting onto this incoming president the hatred that you feel, you want to be aware that you can be, on some level, paving the way for something to happen. I'm not saying don't have your feelings. Have your feelings. You may not like them. You might love them. But if you're in the don't like him place, it's really important to address and minister to yourself, get support from people like me or other people so that you are able to move through this moment having clear sight. So if you've been impacted by the fires, if you've had trauma reactivated, if you're in fear of the future and in a place of fear and hatred, you don't want to project that and then be in a place of even greater dysregulation. We move into compassion. We hold those people in our hearts who've been devastated. This is the invitation. I was speaking with one of our members about we've moved into the Aquarian age, and there's other planetary alignments, if you believe in that, which I kind of do. I think they affect us. There's a reason there's a sun and a moon, and we talk about, the moon and how it affects the waters and your subconscious, and the sun is your disposition. So there's more to that. I'll leave that there. But this is a time where great knowledge and great wisdom can serve us. And we want to access that higher frequency. But if you're just moving through the day because you were directly impacted by the fires, my invitation is be easy, be gentle, receive. Allow yourself to receive kindness and compassion. You don't have to force yourself into everything. And there's no expiration date on grief. Grief is a process, but it's an experience that comes from the sorrow, that comes from the longing, that comes from the loss and disappointment and the catastrophe. So I'm not encouraging people to stay stuck. I'm encouraging people to stay in connection with themselves and be held. So we're going to move into meditation in this moment to just anchor this. My thoughts and my prayers are with everyone moving through this, as well as ministering to my own experiences. So we get to grow together. We get to go through this together. There's support, there's kindness, there's compassion, there's generosity.